Namaste and welcome to your third recovery class, which is going to focus on the hips and the spine in order for you to feel a lot more loose both before and after your pressing and your floating. So we're going to start with basic hip mobility and specifically CARs, and then we're going to work on internal and external rotation. Now, you might know by now the platform has tons of classes really focused on hip CARs or any internal or external rotation work. So you can, again, just go do other classes as you do this, but we're just going to do it so that we can kind of know, okay, I'm training my pressing and my floating this week. I do have to make sure that I feel a lot more mobile in my hips, but definitely the spine you want to get into. So we're going to start with some basic hip CARs and then work towards some internal and external rotation. Now, I've got a lot of work on this in the entire platform, so you don't necessarily need to do these specific ones, but just general hip mobility is going to give you a surplus of space and a surplus of comfort, especially when you start pressing. Floating, not so much, but especially when it comes to pressing, and this is going to be really important. So let's get started onto our all-fours position. I actually want you to draw yourself down to the forearms. You can place one fist over the other. Now from here, again, just general hip CARs. I'm going to pull my right knee off the floor, and I'm going to keep my right foot in dorsiflexion. I'm going to try and draw my right knee up toward my shoulder, and then back down to the floor, come all the way up, and then all the way back the other direction. So over to the right, up, and then back toward the shoulder, and up. Okay, so just going back and forth here. See if we can go 3 in both directions. So again, the idea is to try and point the knee to the floor, out behind me, floor, over to the right, out behind me, over to the right, to the floor, and out behind me again. Let's go for one more all the way around. Beautiful. And you can release. Gonna move the hips from side to side and going the opposite direction. And moving to the other side. Left knee, left leg. We're gonna lift it up, point it over. And moving to the other leg, I'm going to lift the leg up, back down to the left, find that position, and then all the way back to the shoulder and back. And just going back and forth. Again, see if you can aim for about 5 to each side here. Beautiful. Let's go one more. Beautiful. We could take a moment here into our child's pose. Just moving hips side to side. Beautiful. Good. When we're ready, we're going to come into a Malasana position, find ourselves working into that internal rotation. So from here, I want you to place your right hand onto your right knee. Now, some of us may actually need to lift this heel into internal rotation, or perhaps some of us may also just need to stay up onto our heels this whole time to focus on that internal rotation. Eventually, you want to get down to the heels, come all the way down into internal, back up, and then we're going to focus on the external rotation, pushing the knee off to the side, and then back down. Okay, we'll see if we can go for 10. 9. 8. 7. 6. Again, if you need to lift the heels, you can do this from the heels lifted. 'Good. Another 3 more. And really try and straighten that arm. Last one. Beautiful. And already setting ourselves up for some spinal flexion. Coming into our forward fold, just shake the hips from side to side. If you need to, bend slightly at the knees. Dangle the head around. Beautiful. To the other side. Dropping those hips. Internal to external. Drop. 10. 9. 8. 7. 6. 5. 4. 3. Again, really straighten that arm. 2. And last one. Beautiful. Good. Once again, you can take a seat here into your heroes, just taking a moment, finding your breath. Great. Now let's get into a very quick QL stretch, which is the muscles that align with your hip to your spine. And these get super tight, especially during pressing, floating as well, although the pressing, just because we're holding so much of ourselves and we need to really activate these muscles while we're starting to pull the hips up higher, these can get really tense very quickly. So the QL stretch and variations of that QL stretch are really great to continue to practice. So let's get into a position to practice it. Now from here, I'm going to extend my right leg forward. I'm going to bring the the sole of my foot down to the floor, and I'm going to drop my right forearm to the floor, right elbow. And I want to continue to press this left knee in external rotation. So I am continuously focusing on that external rotation here. And then simultaneously, and this is going to be what we're focusing on next, is our hamstring flexibility, which is also really needed for both the float and the press. So focusing on some hamstring flexibility, but mostly finding a really juicy stretch here into that QL position. Eventually you can lock on to the big toe, gazing up towards the ceiling. Also kind of wrap the muscles with your left hand, wrap them back up or back over to the left. right now a progression of the stretch, which may be too much for you to handle right now, but eventually you'd like to get there. Not necessary, but as you start to progress with your practice, as you start to gain more strength and do more intense movements, then you'll need to recover that much deeper. So if you can get into a more progressive posture passively, then you can do the stretch a lot quicker without actually really rushing anything, because that stretch is just so deep and you can recover a lot easier. So in this case, I've got the sole of my left foot to the floor, and then from here I'm going to grab my right hand, and then I'm going to try and reach my left hand over toward my right foot. And this is perhaps, at least it's my favorite, it is probably the deepest QL stretch you could find out there. So if you can't reach the hand, that's fine. You can kind of just dangle it down, and then you can also perhaps keep your left hand onto your knee. If you can, you're reaching that right arm over to the right and gazing past your left shoulder, just like the last stretch, and finding that really nice stretch to the QL. See if you can also start to push your left knee back over to the wall. So instead of this, try and push it back over to the wall. Let's go 2 more breaths here. Carefully drawing ourselves back up, and we'll move to the other side. And this time, left leg out in front. So we're going to bring the sole of the right foot in, working through those QL progressions. Grip big toe, drop the ear down. I'm pressing my knee away. Finding that stretch, again, just above the hip bone, riding up along the spine. Progression, reaching up. Perhaps I can reach the foot. Again, not necessary. Gazing underneath that right armpit. Beautiful. Now we can either stay here or back into this modified position, or coming into that really deep QL stretch. Hey guys, thanks for checking out my YouTube channel. I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you enjoyed it that much, please hit subscribe. It means a lot. And if you're someone who's looking to take their practice to that next level, whether you're a beginner looking to simply improve their practice, or even an advanced practitioner looking to fine-tune their practice, head over to B Movement Academy, my own online school of yoga and movement, where you can find all of my premium content and exclusive programs that will meet you every step of the way to meet any of those movement or mindfulness goals. Most light and love. Namaste.